Are you ready for an experience so mind-boggling only the future can bring it to you in HD? Heavy. Oh, that's cool. Hang on.
Oh, we're keeping that. What was that?
That's somebody's at the fucking door, and it's not my apartment. So,
oh no,
I think they're just trying buttons.
Oh, where they just hit everything to try and get in.
Yeah.
Okay, so welcome everyone to This Podcast is for Nerds. This is episode 16, I think, or 17.
We're in double digits. We are at the prom right now.
Yeah, which is crazy. It's weird to think we've been doing this for over 4 months. And it seems like we're getting a following. I don't know if you're listening to the episodes. I don't touch them after I edit them, but like we have actual people listening, and
you know what? Because
it's not my family.
Because of the integrity and what we talked about, I do not actually go back and listen to them.
Huh.
Like I know I will. I want to go back and just kind of take a look, see, go over it again. But they're still all kind of fresh in my mind. I know there's a couple in there I feel like I've kind of lost, but they're here. They're here. And my intro was squandered.
I know. Somebody ruined it.
You know what? Maybe they'll become a new listener. We'll call it that. We'll make it even.
Yeah, you let them in, and then they have to subscribe.
I think that's one of my favorite lines from the new enemy or one of the new bosses in Borderlands. And she goes, all my followers need to follow, and obey. And I was like, yeah, that sounds about right.
Oh yeah, so this new Borderlands, I've not played it, but it's like it's focused around like two influencers, right?
Yes.
They're like psychotic influencers. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes.
Cool. I really need to play that.
When you want to play it, let me know. I have my builds. I have all but one of the characters built out entirely.
Oh, nice.
So if you want, we can literally start from scratch, and I can play through it with you.
Yeah, that'd be a blast. So yeah, this podcast is for nerds. We are a nerdy centric podcast. We kind of focus on a lot of things. I think our main focus has been video games lately, and we had a little thing we were doing every other week where we were talking about our favorite games from each console. And I think it was a good idea to take a break from that because now we're in the summer and this is like when all the game announcements happen. So I think it's a good time to talk about that. If you want to follow us on social media, we're at This Pod Is For Nerds on Instagram, and we're at This Pod Is the number 4 on Twitter. And Zach does a great job and posts a lot of good food stuff and gaming things.
We want to make sure that, it's actually pretty funny. I was not sure how to build this account, for our socials. And then I went back to basics. I was like, okay, well, how did I build my own Instagram for lifting? What did I do? And I was like, well, I dedicated time to actually go on and interact with people. And I just posted stuff like I'm a real person. Like we are a real person. I feel like whenever I log into the socials, I try to combine you and I together. And we both definitely love food and we love games. We also are just we're nerds. We're weird dudes.
Yeah, so definitely.
What is Calvac like in real life? What do we do? What do we do when we combine our powers? Yeah,
it's hard to run a social media we're not really a company, but I mean we're a brand, I guess, and it's hard to come off as human, I think, sometimes. So I think you're doing a great job, though.
It's fun, honestly. And I will say for everyone else, too, who's checking it out, the other podcasts who are following us, do not fret. We will be listening to you guys to check you out. So from what I've seen, there's been some great activity, and I want to go through and listen to the podcasters that have been following us, because I think, especially from a grassroots standpoint, those people who have stopped to acknowledge us and check us out, we're definitely going to check you guys out too. So look forward to a bunch of shout outs for the next podcast, just for our little community. Quick shout out to the BUB Love podcast. I will be doing the BUB Love 5K this year, like I've done for the last 2 years. And every time you do this virtual 5K, the money goes to a charity. 100% of the proceeds go to a charity. And I think every year it changes. And this year it goes to fight human trafficking. So shout out to the BU Love podcast. Little plug that was not planned. And this is not what I was planning on talking about today, but that's where we are.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it's great. So we decided we're going to take a little break from the video game console, favorite games discussion, take a little break from that, and kind of talk about some news, I think, in gaming. And then kind of get into, our first official episode was about E3 being canceled because of COVID.
Was that the official one?
Yeah, that's the official first episode, I think.
Okay. I'm sorry, you guys will never hear about the first one. That we keep mentioning it. We keep mentioning it, but the very first episode went to the ether. And I know we drank, and I don't remember what actually came out in that video.
Yeah. This week I think we're going to talk about some of these virtual conferences that have been happening. PlayStation did theirs about a month ago. Ubisoft just had their Ubisoft Forward. That was Monday, I think. So when this comes out, it would have been a few days ago. Mm-hmm. And then Xbox is having their showcase in a couple weeks here. So we'll go through, some game news. We'll go through the Sony exclusives that got announced, and then what we're hoping for the Xbox, because Zach and I are big Xbox fans.
Indeed.
Yeah. So what's before we get started, what's something nerdy you've been up to lately?
Honestly, I've been working on some more of the digital art for us.
Oh, it's been great. And if you're not following us on Instagram, please do, because Zach posts a lot of stuff that doesn't show up in the YouTube videos and stuff like that. So there's some great stuff that he's been posting lately. And hey, you got a talent, man. My wife and I have been talking a lot about how talented you are with the digital art. So we're just really impressed.
And please do not sell yourself short. Like, this podcast wouldn't exist without Calvin and his creative necessity to have an outlet.
Yeah, I definitely needed it, and this is a nice way to hang out, especially during COVID when.
Oh, I know. Could you imagine?
To see anybody?
We literally decided to pitch this idea to each other at beer camp.
Yeah, and it was the perfect time.
Seriously. But yeah, that's what I've been working on. That's been pretty nerdy. Just working on different concepts and working on different styles of art, I think, because I did mention that I wanted to keep it not so clean all the time, because everyone's kind of doing the same kind of art, I think. But I think for me, I really love that old school 80s punk rock band flyer you'd see or handed out for shows and everything, just to get a kind of grittiness.
Yeah.
It's just hard to get that when you are doing things digital as opposed to when you're just doing it with pen and paper. So I'm just trying to figure out a way to best convert that, I guess.
Yeah. I'm really excited to see more of your stuff. For me, I just finished The Last of Us. That was one I got near the end and never finished it on the PS3. So,
the first one.
Yeah, yeah. So I was replaying it in preparation for 2. So now I'm gonna. I had Last of Us Part 2 spoiled for me, so I already know kind of what happens. But very much looking forward to playing that. Reviews have been kind of mixed, but
they've been mixed. But it's weird. It's weird to. I don't know. I think it was great. Honestly, it's kind of hard to.
Oh, the first one is amazing. I mean, I'm not crazy. The puzzles are kind of repetitive and the gameplay is a little rough, but man, that story is fantastic.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what happens when you have a second version of a game, though. Even the Lara Croft games ran into some crap after the first one came out and blew everyone's mind away. Everyone was kind of pissed about the second one, even though it was also great. So I don't know. Yeah,
I've been a big fan of those Lara Croft games. I was very impressed with the reboot. I think they've done a great job. I hope they keep making them.
Absolute true grit.
Yes. So let's get into. I really only have one piece of news. So the video game Cyberpunk 2077 was announced that it's being delayed, unfortunately. they announced it on Twitter. So the original release date was going to be September 17th, and they've now pushed it to November 19th. Just sad to see, but they've said that the game itself is finished, and now they're just focused on squashing bugs. So they're doing a bunch of QA testing. But all the missions, everything that they have planned to be released, at least before DLC comes out, I'm sure there'll be DLC. That's all done. So we will be playing this game this year. That is probably true. This is not the first time they've delayed the game, so
it's not. But I can also say that I can definitely appreciate them saying forefront, "Hey, we have bugs to clear out here." Like,
yeah. CD Projekt Red has a really good track record for releasing games. Like, did you play the Witcher series at all?
I played The Witcher 3 actually, and then I went back and played a little bit of Witcher 2.
Okay. Yeah, I just I'm very excited for this game. I have such a hard time. I think we've discussed it before. These like open world games can be a little overwhelming, but I think I just love the setting so much that there's no way I can't play this.
I'm not sure if we did discuss open world games, but remind me if we did already. I apologize for forgetting, but what do you mean?
In general, I have a hard time. Maybe we haven't. This might be a discussion I've had offline, but games like the Fallout series, games like Skyrim, like these open world RPG games, I enjoy them and I appreciate them for what they are, but I think the amount of possibilities and like the total freedom these games give me kind of like a decision paralysis, and I just I'll like play for an hour and then I'm like, I feel like I'm missing something, like I'm probably not doing this right, I should be like over here. And so I don't really spend a bunch of time on these games, but this is one I think is one I'm going to put a lot of time into. Okay.
In that regard, do you not, I mean, I guess you're not a fan of like multiple playthroughs to get different endings then?
Not for an open world game, not for like a game like this, just because I'm going to like, if I do finish it, it's going to be something I'm putting like probably 60 plus hours into, and I'm just like not going to have it in me to replay that. There's just too many games.
That's fair. I think I was that way with Skyrim. I wasn't that way with New Vegas, or it just depends. I think it depends on the type of depends on the type of sandbox. Like Breath of the Wild is awesome. I think it's also just how that game feels overall. It's lighter. It's more inviting to want to explore. Yeah. I really got tired of trying to go through Skyrim's dungeons. I just got really, really annoyed by all of it, actually.
Yeah. I remember that was like one of the first like midnight release games I went to go get was Skyrim, and I really enjoyed it. But yeah, I think probably Breath of the Wild was the last like open world RPG game that I actually like did not get that decision paralysis from. And maybe it's because Nintendo games do a little more hand holding now, at least. Not back in the day, but
yeah, now they definitely do.
yeah, there's a lot more of that. So yeah, I'm just super stoked about this game. They have a great track record, and it's crazy to me hearing, because they've had some people giving them some time to play it. I think there was a list of people that got to play it for like 4 hours a couple of weeks ago, and a few of them got on a podcast together and talked about, because some of them did the same missions, but it had wildly different outcomes of those missions. So I'm really excited to be able to play this and then talk with friends about it and see, like, how did you handle this situation, and did your class affect your options as far as completing the mission goes. So I think it's going to be an awesome game.
Yeah, this scene right here that you're showing actually reminds me of a game I played that I loved, and I wish I could remember the name of it. It was started off on Xbox and went to Xbox 3. Started 360, but now you can get it on Xbox One as a port. It's Sleeping Dogs, which is an amazing
Sleeping
game.
Dogs is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This
no,
fight scene reminded me of the endless fight that you have to go through a couple times, and just like the gnarliest takedown of like taking the security gate for the building and pulling it down on some dude's like chest. I'm like, okay, all right. now I'm part of the Sun on Me.
Soundtrack was amazing too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this totally reminds me. Like the second you mentioned this reminds me of something, my mind immediately went to Sleeping Dogs. I think it's probably just the like grimy aesthetic of the world that they're building. Yeah, I mean, this is like apparently this is a tabletop RPG. So I'm really that's like what this game is based off of. So my hope is to get my hands on it and maybe we can play it sometime.
Yeah, I would be down with that.
Yeah. So that's about all I had on this game, on Cyberpunk. Unfortunate delay, but I hope that gives people more time to polish it and hopefully less crunch. But I won't hold my breath on less crunch.
How did you feel about? Never mind. We can do this.
No. Go ahead. Well, this is a long video, so we're good.
I was going to say, how closely were you following the game, and what was your reaction when you watched the trailer last year?
When Keanu came out?
Yes.
I watched that live. I was very loosely following it because I just like it. I didn't know much about it, and I try not to get too involved, like emotionally, in video games until I know it's going to be closer to release.
Right.
Because I've had my heart broken where games get dropped, and then they never come out. So
don't worry, Calvin. Fortnite's always here for you.
Oh, I know, they're so good to me. Epic is always so good to me. But so that E3 last year when Keanu came out. I was super shocked, and it was such a great like meme moment, and I think it kind of took over the internet for a little while, and that's when I started like regularly, like I followed the Cyberpunk Twitter, all that stuff. So it's definitely on my radar and probably my most anticipated game this year. What about you? I mean, have you been pretty much following it since the beginning?
Not since the beginning. I always watch the trailers that come out every season just because it's fun to do. This one caught my attention just because I really enjoy, like, I love open world sandboxes, but I'm really tired of playing games that are like set in a time period of the past. Like, I didn't play Red Dead 2 because I really kind of have a problem with prequels. If I know how the story ends, I don't really care to go play an updated version of the story beforehand. I don't care what happened beforehand. It doesn't change the ending of the story. So yeah. I looked at it. It looked like an amazing game. Rockstar always knocks out of the park, but it's just not for me. I'll wait for GTA 6. But I really like watching, and this game, Ghost of Tsushima. I think I'm saying that wrong because I forgot the name of it.
No, I think you nailed it.
This looks incredible, and just the music, the track, the fact that you can put it into movie mode and like make it actually like an old samurai, well, not samurai western, but make it like an old samurai movie even. Yeah. Just the level of detail that goes into this game. Like we always talk about AAA games basically rewatching a movie. This game is literally a movie. Yeah. So this Ghost of Tsushima game just came out on PS4, and so reviews are kind of starting to trickle in. Lots of praise for the gameplay. Apparently, the combat, which looks great here, apparently that is fantastic and feels very fluid and varied enough so you don't really feel those like repetitious patterns, which it feels interesting to me because this is developed by Sucker Punch, and they've done the Infamous games and they did the Sly Cooper games. Have you played either one of those?
So I was a big Sly Cooper fan from back in the day. I played 1 and 2 on PS2.
Nice.
I never played 3. And Infamous, I played at a Best Buy arcade cabinet, I think, but I never bought it.
Yeah, say it one more time for those in the back who are alive to know what that even means.
Oh, back in the day. Well,
that was my first time playing Xbox. I think was at a Walmart arcade cabinet.
Really?
Yeah, I played this ninja game that was Xbox exclusive before they actually really knew what the hell they were doing.
Yeah, I just think this game is going to be super exciting. I got to finish Last of Us Part 2 before I put any time into this. But it's certainly one I'm not going to miss. I think it looks fantastic, and I think it's going to be less punishing than a Dark Souls style game.
Dark Souls or Neo for that matter.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just not looking to get punished right now. I just want a fun little game where I can just kind of mash buttons and feel like I'm doing all these crazy tricks. So,
and yeah, you know what? Let's just play Borderlands. You need a little bit of Borderlands.
yeah. It's funny you mentioned Red Dead. I just picked that up because it's on Game Pass. Red Dead 2, and I've been doing the online, and it's bringing back my love of the third and first person shooters. So
yes,
yeah, I think Borderlands needs to happen.
Sleeping Dogs is also on the store right now for Xbox. I'm looking right at it.
Oh, is it? Awesome.
It is.
Yeah, I played it on PC, but would be fun to revisit. I'm sure I could get the wife to play it. I think she'd like it.
Oh yeah, it's a great. Honestly, if you listen, Sleeping Dogs is a great undercover cop story. It was supposed to be the spiritual successor to True Crime Streets of LA, but I think something happened with licensing, or I forgot exactly how that whole thing went down, but it ended up being released as Sleeping Dogs instead, and I think it did for the better. It's a total sleeper game. If you haven't heard of it, you should definitely check it out.
Yeah, I feel like it wasn't hugely popular, and I think it deserves much more credit. I mean, it felt as fleshed out as I won't say a GTA 5, but it felt definitely as fleshed out as a GTA 4 or San Andreas. There was enough there where it felt like a full, complete world to explore, with a lot of side quests and stuff that didn't feel repetitive.
Absolutely.
I think so definitely check that game out.
I will say too that you have to be undercover, so there's a meter the entire time that you can either be more cop or more gangster, and that changes the story quite a bit.
Yeah, which I love in games when you have these factions, and Fallout does a really good job of this.
Yes, they do. Powder Keg Boys, destroy them.
Yes. So I guess next we can get into so the PlayStation had their conference. They announced the PS5, and I know you wanted to get into controllers, so we'll talk about games and we'll get into the console itself. So the first big announcements that they had. Oh, this is a game I'm looking forward to. We'll skip that for now. So their first announcement was actually that GTA 5 was coming to the PS5, which felt like a really weird intro to the.
It really does.
To the conference. Okay, this game came out on the PS3. Why are we talking about its release on the PS5?
Not only that, but it's been what, 10 years now?
Yeah. It's close. I think it came out in 2012. So by the time it's out, it'll be 9 years, which is just insane.
It is, considering how great. I went back and watched some gameplay on that, and I get it. But it's aged pretty damn well.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I've been doing the online, kind of doing the heists recently with some friends, and it's really fun. I am ready for a new GTA game, but I think we'll have probably 2 more years before we get that. So their first actual exclusive announcement was a new Marvel Spider-Man standalone game that is
you really want to
focused.
emphasize that, huh?
Yeah, it's not. They made it pretty. The marketing is kind of confusing on this. So it's a Miles Morales game, which I think if anyone played the 2018 Spider-Man, kind of knew that this was going to happen. Miles was a pretty central part of the game, and you even play as him a few times. So it makes sense that we're getting this, and I'm very excited for it. The 2018 Spider-Man was great. And I'm just really excited to get this side of Spider-Man. I've been dying for a Miles Morales anything other than a comic. Like I would love a TV show or a movie. I mean, we got Into the Spider-Verse, which was in my opinion the best Spider-Man movie we've ever had.
It definitely, I had to look up and see which Spider-Verse that was, because I didn't know. So I was a little confused when I first saw that movie, because I was kind of confused about where in which timeline Peter Parker dies, and I had to go find that because I couldn't remember. And I think so this 2018 version actually doesn't go in parallel with the movie, because that Miles never met Spider-Man because Peter Parker was already dead in his universe, I believe.
Oh, okay.
So that's, and if you will know, I'm a huge like comic nerd also, even though I haven't kept up with every single publication or every new reimagining of every single damn Marvel thing that's happened.
Very
There's
tough.
so much. Oh my God. All the different alternate Earths, universes. And I just stick to Earth Universe 1. And for DC, I think their main universe is A1 or something like that. That's where I stick to. So all those other like things on the far outside algorithm on the standard deviation, I'm not going to go out and be in the 12.7% of whatever the hell storyline someone decided to make into a movie. I'm just not.
Yeah, so I'm super stoked. This sounds like it's going to be one of those $40 games. It's definitely not going to be as long as the 2018 Spider-Man. The only thing that really bums me out about this is I think it kind of solidifies that Insomniac is no longer going to be working with Microsoft.
Yeah,
and they developed my favorite Xbox One game that ever came out, which is Sunset Overdrive. It is by far the most underrated Xbox One exclusive, I think.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It pretty much paved the way for 2018 Spider-Man. It's got some of the best like movement. I mean, it's basically Jet Set Radio Future, but in like a post-apocalyptic world setting, and it's a great third-person shooter. If anyone has not played it, you absolutely should. The soundtrack is kind of cheesy and goofy, but very fitting of the genre. And yeah, so I'm definitely down for more Spider-Man, but I would really love Microsoft to try and get Insomniac to give us at least one more Sunset Overdrive. I don't know. Is this a game that would get you to buy a PS4? I guess it's going to be a PS5 game. So would you buy a PS5 just because of Spider-Man?
I would not.
Okay.
I would say I wouldn't, and I wouldn't for the same reason that I don't buy brand new cars. The systems themselves haven't been fully QA bugged by the public.
Yeah.
And that's just a rule I take for anything. So would I buy one eventually? Yeah, I can see myself doing that. But right out the gate, absolutely not.
Yeah, no, it's like, a smart move.
We basically we're investing in buying computers at this point. Like the Xbox Series X, it's a computer. It's basically a modem. And now it just comes down to the price of, do I want to build a gaming computer and just hook my Xbox controller to it, or just buy a One X or a PS4? I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's kind of tough. Not everyone's going to be able to get both of these consoles, because we still don't know the price yet. And I think that's a worthy conversation to have. One thing they announced at the PlayStation event was that they are going to have an all digital PS5, which I'm super excited for. And I think there's been rumors that there's going to be a similar SKU for the Xbox. So that likely means we're getting a bigger hard drive on that console, and there's no disk drive. That's kind of weird, imagining no disc on a console, because I don't own a Blu-ray player. So usually my console is the Blu-ray player for the family, I don't pull out Blu-rays that often. It's pretty rare.
I actually haven't used my disc. Like for my Xbox 360, I definitely didn't, and for the one, I've never actually used it. So if they do have those slimmed down models and they have like an upgraded fan and processor, or not processor, but more hard drive and like an upgraded fan, I definitely would, invest in that. And again, like you said, it comes down to price, but also I think for the first year, maybe year and a half, I'm not touching them until I see what the bugs are going to be. Like,
yeah,
I just don't, I come from the auto industry, and you never buy the first year of the brand new something of the first generation or whatever.
Yeah.
No, because the general public, that's the QA.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. All those people that are buying first round are experiencing all the issues. And honestly, I think it was certainly an issue last generation for me, was when these games launch, the launch titles are not enough for me to spend the money right away.
Oh, yeah, the launch titles weren't super. Like, there was Rise, Son of Rome for Xbox One, and that was
pretty much it.
Yeah, and then you had a bunch of ports, and they had backwards compatibility, which is okay. For PS4, I know they came out a little stronger with their exclusives, but I forgot what they were right now, honestly.
Well, let's see. So for me, I mean, I love both consoles, and I'm an owner of a Switch, an Xbox One, and a PS4.
I'm sitting here on the Switch game and the Xbox One.
They're all great consoles, but in my opinion, I think the PS4 does a better job of exclusive single-player games, but I think Microsoft and Xbox are way more pro-consumer. So the exclusives, the launch titles, like the big ones for the PS4, were Killzone, Shadowfall.
Killzone, that's right.
That's weird. We never got kind of a follow-up to the Killzone series. I'm curious if we'll get one on the PS5. And then Knack, which was I don't remember it being very good, but so the next game they announced, or the last big announcement they had, was a sequel to the Horizon Zero Dawn series.
Yeah, I'm stoked about that.
Yeah, very cool. I will say I have not started Horizon Zero Dawn. I own it. It was like
what the hell?
I know. I got told by a former coworker that I need to play this game because it's like one of their favorites, and it's a stunning game, and I've heard the combat's amazing, and it's a real gut punch of a game. But it was like $10 when I bought my PS4, and I was like, I've heard good things, I'll buy it, and it's just been sitting on my shelf. So I'm excited for this one, even though I have not played the first one. I'm going to play the first one, and then I'll definitely, this is one that'll get me to buy a PS5 for sure. This is an exclusive series that is interesting to me.
This one will definitely have me buying lots of beer to come to your house and play.
This would be a fun one to kind of do, like a couch play together. It's just such a
look at this. I love the concept too, right? Like it's like Monster Hunter for adults.
Yeah. Hey, as somebody that likes Monster Hunter, how dare you?
Well, you know what I mean. Like Monster Hunter had a lot of like. I'm not against Monster Hunter. You know what? Take that back. I'll go back. I take it back. Dauntless is Monster Hunter for kids. Monster Hunter is Monster Hunter. And then this game is like this on overdrive. Oh my God. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Isn't it unbelievable? I mean, the lighting is so good.
Oh yeah. They're getting way. Yeah. This can't even sit in the same. No, this isn't Monster Hunter. I take it back. That's Shinron. That's not Shinron. She's some of the Dragon Balls, that's for sure. We've all seen that sequence. You can't hide it, Zero Dawn.
Well, it's funny. So this game series, I didn't even know. The reason we never got a follow-up to Killzone is because they switched over to this.
Well, I'm not super pissed about it.
No, they switched over to this, and then they just did Death Stranding last year.
This dude, oh my gosh, I can't talk to you about it because you haven't played yet.
So did you watch somebody play this?
The Rad Brad played this.
Oh, and you watched it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is certainly honestly, I feel like Last of Us is fresh enough in my mind that I should play this first and then do Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah, okay. I can get behind that.
Yeah.
It'll be a good refresher because this game is not nearly as gritty, but the storyline has still got some punch. Like it's a great game.
Yeah,
I love machines, obviously my career, but also just like this concept of humans hunting machine. What the hell is that? Like that's insane.
Yeah, it's so boy, it is these are the types of games that make me go, yeah, PlayStation definitely won this generation, I think, as far as sales alone. But I just think they did a good job of curating games, exclusive games that drew in more customers. I just think they did a really good job of that. So this was kind of a weird announcement. And this game is not a PlayStation exclusive, but it was announced at this PlayStation event. So this is made by indie studio Young Horses. Did you ever play Octodad?
I didn't, but I know a bit about it.
Okay, so this is Octodad was like a really weird game where you're an octopus trying to disguise yourself as a human being, and you had to control all the different limbs of an octopus using like your different triggers and buttons, and you're just kind of like flailing around the world and trying to convince your family that you're human. So they announced this game. It's called Bugsnax. It feels very much like a Viva Pinata, probably. Just based on the look and like it. I mean, my guess is like this is like you're on an island probably, and you're just kind of curating all these weird bug snacks, and it looks like you eat them. And the theme song, have you heard it?
I haven't.
Okay, I don't think I'm sharing my audio, so let me do a new share here. So let me know if you can hear this.
All unique.
I can hear it.
Okay. So this was like really popular, and it still is. But like when it came out, people were obsessed with the song. It's by a group called Character Benito. They're really great.
You know what? I'd play this, and I don't even know why. Like, I don't even have any answer as to why I would. It's just so weird.
Yeah, it just looks like it's going to be just like a really. My hope is there's going to be some multiplayer for it, because I think this would be a great game to play with friends. But it's going to be coming out on Xbox, PS4, and PS5, so we will definitely be able to play together. Yeah, it's just a weird one that I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that like you are not necessarily like you play it because you need a break.
yeah, totally. Like I've had a rough week. I need to go eat this little strawberry that walks around. I need it. Yeah, so I think that'll be a fun game. So this next one they announced, very weird. I'm not sure what to expect of it. It's called Goodbye Volcano High. A lot of people have been comparing it to like the strain. Oh my gosh, what's it called? The what's that, like teen romance, like Your Decisions. It's by Don't Nod.
Oh, is that not Faded Away? Darn it.
Yeah, I'm trying to blank. I'm looking it up, but it's it feels very similar. Life is Strange is what I meant to say.
Gotcha.
So I think the game looks very like, it's like angsty teenager dinosaurs, and feels like it's probably like a decision based game, and there's probably not much as far as actual gameplay goes. So I think a lot of people are making assumptions that it's going to be kind of like that, and obviously the game is going to end with the asteroid coming down and killing all these teenage dinosaurs.
That makes sense now to the name.
Yeah, I think it's going to be like a super depressing game probably, but that one's coming out to Windows and the PS5 and PS4. It's supposed to be 2021, so I don't know. Like, have you had, I mean, we've talked about like the Telltale series, but have you had any other experience with like these kind of like story driven games where it's more like decisions and stuff, less about the gameplay?
Unless it has a really good story, I really don't get too far into that.
Okay. Yeah, so that's probably not a system seller for you.
No, not at all. And I would say that I don't know. It's that one wouldn't grab me as much. And plus, like, you give me angsty teen anything, I'm gonna just tell you no. Like, I don't care. I'm not interested. I don't care what anybody's doing. I don't care who you are. Like, forget it. I'm not down.
Yeah, so this is probably my other most anticipated game of the year, and this is coming from Arcane Studios, and they announced it at the PlayStation event. It is called Deathloop. Have you heard anything about this?
No, this looks entirely new, actually.
Okay, so yeah, this is going to be a first-person shooter, and it's made by the team that made the new Wolfenstein games, the Dishonored series, and the Prey series. So the basic concept of the game is you play as Colt, you're an assassin, and you are stuck on this island called Black Reef. And you're tasked with assassinating these 8 targets, and if you die, you get caught in this death loop, and so you kind of start back over from the beginning. So it's kind of got a the Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask kind of thing, like time is ending sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But it's death instead of time. So Arcane has a great track record, and it looks like a super solid shooter. Have you played the Dishonored series?
I actually have not, and I only for the small reason we talked about before is that any game that's going to incorporate zombies, I'm not down with.
To my knowledge, there isn't zombies in Dishonored.
I was thinking, am I thinking about Dishonored or Thief?
Might be Thief.
Yeah, it might be Thief. So I haven't played the Dishonored series then. I'll double check.
But it's one of those, they handle stealth really well, and they usually include these gimmicks into their games. Like Prey did a really good job of that, and this, it looks like you have some like telekinesis abilities. And just stylistically, it looks super cool. So this is what I'm super excited for, and I think it'll be a really good one.
This looks crazy. This reminds me a lot of oh darn, what was that game? It was an indie game that came out. We Happy Few is what it looks like.
Oh, totally. I was going to mention that. Like the art style and the way the characters move feel very We Happy Few like.
Yeah.
And that was one, I was super hot on that for a while, and then I just kind of, I think it suffered. I think We Happy Few suffered from like announcing a game way too early, because it sat in beta for so long that I didn't really know like what's the final game gonna look like, and like, so that was kind of my issue with that game. Did you play and beat We Happy Few?
No, I watched the playthrough on it. I really liked the I mean, the gameplay wasn't really my style of gameplay, but I thought it was cool because it reminded me a lot of Bioshock and darn it, Bioshock and Fallout is what it reminded me of.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It definitely had the Bioshock like, I guess like not necessarily the combat, but
more the drug system. Like you had how you had to manage your meds. Really was a big was a huge factor in being able to know really what you were doing, you know?
Yeah, totally. So yeah, well, you wanted to get into controllers, right? So let's do that.
Yes.
Let me pull up the announced PS5 controller. Is that showing for you?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So this is the new PS5 controller. What are your thoughts on it?
It's a really nice interpretation of an Xbox controller.
Yeah, I think it's got more of it's a wider, like squared off. I mean, the PlayStation controllers have always been kind of square, but this is thicker than usual. I feel like the face of it is usually pretty thin. This definitely looks like the layout, and I feel like all controllers are doing this. Like we've talked about it before. Like the Switch Pro controller looks like this. The Xbox One and the Xbox Pro controller looks like this. So definitely feels reminiscent, but very very different for PlayStation. I think the bumpers look way more pronounced than they normally are. I mean, that also, I guess, could be the angle that we're looking at it from, but they seem like they're more protruded than normal. It looks like they've decided to keep the touchpad, which is kind of interesting to me. Like, it's kind of gimmicky.
Like, how did you feel about that? How much did the touchpad really come into play for gameplay when you had it?
Like, it didn't at all. I mean, so with like The Last of Us Part 2, there's like a mechanic where you play guitar and you swipe the touchpad to strum, which is kind of cool, but like it's not like revolutionary. I just like, it feels like the Mac Pro or the MacBook with the touch bar. Mm-hmm. Like who's really using that, and like how often? I just don't like. I can't imagine implementing that. One, into your games is super easy, and two, producing for your controllers is worth it financially. Because I just don't see it used that often. Now, the thing I do like on these controllers is the speaker. So like, I know when I was playing the Last of Us remaster, there's some collectibles and there's like little audio diaries like you get in the Bioshock games, and those play out of the controller instead of out of the TV. Mm-hmm. It feels a little more immersive. So I think to me it makes more sense to keep the speaker than the actual touchpad. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
You know, from what I've seen people, it reminded me a lot of when I first came back. It reminded me of the Sega Dreamcast. But I also didn't see, it seemed like it was kind of clunky to me. Like I've only played it really with like a game that I was testing out at the store. But it seemed clunky to have to like, this is probably just complaining more than I should. But even with having bigger hands, it seemed clunky to really have to reach over away from the directional paths to do a movement, to do something quickly. I didn't really see how that added any real benefit than just using the control pads. And I think just from the concept of, you know, wanting to differentiate from Xbox, I get it. And it's a very sleek looking controller. But looking at the Xbox and the PS5 right next to each other, it's just one's missing a gamepad and maybe the dual bumpers. Like the directional pads are just in different places. Yeah, so I guess I hadn't really made the connection, but yeah, they have this different rule set as far as where they place their sticks. I guess I don't notice it that much when I'm playing PS4 games, like where the location of the stick is, but I think switching between these consoles, I think it's a little more noticeable.
But again, it's like I hardly ever use the D-pad anyways.
Right.
So I don't mind it kind of being out of the way.
I will say when you play Borderlands, the major improvement between 2 and 3 is that the D-pad is only now used to change your weapon firing style, or rather, the weapons now come with 2 different types of firing, so you can choose between the 2, and you just have to click down to switch it out, which is awesome.
Yeah, very cool. So yeah, I think now's a good time to kind of transition to some Xbox stuff. This is a game I'm very much looking forward to. That's going to be coming out to the Xbox. Talked about it a million times.
Hope this looks great. This is just taking me back.
Oh yeah, I mean it's just like I'm cautiously optimistic about this.
There you go. That's what you need to see, the unrealistic jumps.
Yeah, like the way they land doesn't feel like the same.
She's
like
back.
They've got all the original skaters, and they've even brought in some new ones from this generation. There's some great people that they've got. I mean, obviously Riley Hawk's going to be in it. He's actually doing a lot of great things in skateboarding, so that's cool. And they're keeping the soundtrack for the most part. I think that they're only missing like 5 songs, which is great. And I'm glad that they're bringing the revert and the freestyle tricks, because I think those are like the important parts of the newer games that could be brought in and be kind of seamless with this remaster.
So there he is, the Campbell.
Yeah, Campbell, my boy. The guy's so good. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it turns out. Hopefully, it's not a Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5 or Tony Hawk HD debacle again. Because if it is, I doubt Tony's gonna try and keep this series going. But I would love to see a reboot, and they did just announce Skate 4. I don't know if we've talked about that.
We did not. No, we hadn't talked about it actually.
So along with all the other virtual conferences that are happening, EA did their own, and they did announce that they're currently in the process of developing a Skate 4. But my guess is that is awesome. Several years away. So
it is pretty awesome. Actually, it was quite exciting to know about. You pulled up something on the screen I actually am excited about, but probably not to play.
Okay. Yeah, so I just pulled up the Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So go ahead.
I probably only started playing Assassin's Creed Black Flag very briefly. And really got more excited about the story than the gameplay, and ended up like watching the storyline from the very beginning because it ties through history and just like different events in history, and with the Templars and the Assassins and all the other stuff. And it's really more of a great story for me than it is like a great game to play. And I will say it is a great game, but I am really more interested in the story, honestly.
Yeah, I think it was a really good idea for them to take a year off, kind of figure out what it is that they want this series to be. I think recently they've kind of they've gone back to their original form. I kind of got burnt out on the series, being an annual release was a little much. And I think they ran into some growing pains. But doing something entirely different, covering Vikings, I think will be very interesting. The combat feels very similar, or looks very similar. I haven't actually played it, obviously. It feels very similar to the more recent games, so we probably won't see huge changes there. But yeah, I'm certainly more interested in the story. I'm excited to see what they do with this, because I know there's a big aspect of this of like there's the factions, like we talked about it earlier, kind of going undercover, because you got to kind of sneak your way into this settlement. So I think that'll be kind of interesting.
No, definitely. And This is just going to be a wild ride. I didn't think that they were going to do another Assassin's game, or rather, I wasn't sure where they were going to go with it, because when they did, I think it was a year or two ago, Assassin's Creed Origins, that was incredible.
Oh yeah,
I didn't care for the Roman one as much. Apparently that was being developed at the same time as Origins. I just wasn't as interested in the story, I guess. So I mean, it played together, but I think like seeing the Egyptian aspect was way cooler than the Roman aspect. I think that's more personally on me, because I used to like love Roman history and get into it way too much. So that's probably like I was just personally bored. But the only real bad Assassin's Creed thing I can say of the last 10 years was the movie.
Oh man, yeah, I've heard bad things. I've not actually watched it, so I can't say much. But
it's I don't want to spoil it, but it's just one of those things when you take a game or an anime, you make it a live action movie. You're not really like, you want to recoup profits. You're not really focused on the source material as much. I mean, who's really going to check you on it?
Yeah, I guess it should be their target audience should be checking them on that. But I think there's just too much money involved.
Podcast 2 and 3, I believe, we talked about how the audience has the power to change certain things.
Oh yeah,
this did not happen with Assassin's Creed.
No. I think everyone just decided this movie sucked, and we're just. I think people knew. I mean, we've been burnt so many times by video game movies. So,
oh yeah,
yeah. This is definitely one I'm excited for, and this is always one of those that you can play it on any platform. So, it's usually when it's a AAA game and I can get it on anything, I'm probably going to get it on PC. But they're so long. I'm at this point where I need shorter games. I'll definitely pick this up, but I don't know if it's going to be one that I actually finish. Depends how compelling the story is, I guess.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that too. Needing shorter games, or at least a game you can play in shorter spurts. That's why I didn't get back into Outer Worlds.
Oh yeah,
because you can't just pick it up and play a mission real quick and hop off for a few hours. Like that game just loops you in, and no, negative. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, so we're getting to that point. Xbox is going to be doing their conference here in a couple weeks. So I thought before we wrap things up, let's kind of go over what they need to announce. What are the important announcements that's gonna hopefully push Xbox into the lead for this next generation. I think the first one we have to talk about. I think it is probably I've heard it discussed that this is like the most important series to the Xbox, and that would be Halo Infinite. So this comes out this year. And the great thing for me, in my opinion, about the Xbox is it's very clear. So like PS5 is a clear line. I think like PlayStation is making it very clear these are going to be separate generations, and I feel like Xbox is kind of taking the stance that we want to make these games available to as many people as possible. If you can't afford the Series X, you're still going to be able to play these AAA games on our previous consoles. So it kind of like blurs that line between generations with the Xbox, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, and I think Xbox has done that well throughout its history, not excluding its fan base. And because I feel like they're aware they make a great product, but they're also aware that not everyone can afford it, especially during the whole COVID situation where people were like not really taking to throw a couple $100 down on a new device.
Yeah.
I think you kind of coined it best when you said the PlayStation Network, not PlayStation Network, but PlayStation is really geared more towards single player, single person interactions, whereas Xbox is more community based. And I'm not saying anything against the PlayStation Network, because I know that's really changed in the last few years, but Xbox has always been like community first.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and with Game Pass being as popular as it is, in the fact that we're going to be able to get this kind of like it's almost like a reboot, I guess, of the series. It's nice that people that have Game Pass are going to be able to play this day one. They're gonna, there's no. I just think Game Pass is such a high value, and I hope it's something that Xbox continues to invest in because it feels very pro-consumer, and I hope PlayStation steps up their PlayStation Now service and that Nintendo introduces something similar, because I really can't imagine a better value. I mean, having played video games for 20 plus years, I haven't seen anything this good.
I'm sorry. Master Chief is floating in space.
Yeah.
I got very distracted by that.
Yeah. Have you seen this trailer?
I haven't actually.
Oh, okay. So this was the announcement. So this was last year at E3. They were announcing this game, and so yeah, it'll be interesting. It's the 6th entry.
Sierra
the main series,
and honestly, the storyline for this has really kicked up and caught my attention to keep it going as well. Like, it's, Cortana's fucking crazy, and we need to figure out what's going on with this.
Yeah, and I think 343 ran into a lot of trouble with Halo 5. I enjoyed it. I thought the online was great, but I think people love this series because it's Master Chief. And Halo 5, he was a much smaller role. You hardly play as him really in the game. And it sounds like this game, he is much more integral to the story.
I mean, you played with him a lot less, but it also, I think, was kind of important. And I know, to keep things fresh, everyone's going to complain. Like, everyone complained about Raiden in Metal Gear 2 when you ended up playing as him instead of Snake. Which, to be fair, if you weren't aware that was going to happen, you'd be a little pissed too.
Yeah, right.
But, it's fine.
You will survive.
Yeah. And, I think the biggest thing with that is that, if for those of you who haven't played Halo 5, then skip this next part because I'm going to spoil something for you. You have 4 seconds to skip. 3, 2, 1. The fight between Locke and Master Chief was very underwhelming. And you knew Master Chief was going to kick his ass. I mean, who the fuck is this guy? Like, that's not... Of course he's going to beat the shit out of him. It's Master Chief. It's Sierra 1-1. It's John. You're not going to... John, you can't beat... No. You're done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
it was tough.
Yeah, I need to see what happens with Cortana, like, losing her shit, honestly. Like,
yeah, I'm kind of hoping this kind of just ignores the events of 5 and kind of continues where 4 left off. We'll see.
Honestly, I think it can't. I don't think 5 can be ignored, only because of, like, the biggest part of that was her rebellion.
Yeah.
I think this is, like, because I think this is basically, if I remember correctly, Master Chief tries to stop her, and he's like, "Hey, oh yeah, we can talk about that later." Yeah. I didn't know they were creating a second one for, and that team did such an amazing job on the first one. Holy crap!
I agree. I have not actually finished the game, so just to wrap up on Halo, I think it's probably the most important thing Xbox is going to put out in the next couple of years. So I think the 343 has
Destiny,
a lot of...
Sorry, Destiny dorks, it's not happening.
Well, I should say the most important exclusive game that gets released on Xbox. I think 343 has a lot of pressure. I think it's going to really set Game Pass apart. And I think we're at this point now, the past couple of years, Microsoft kept announcing that they were buying up all these studios, and one included that we're going to talk about here in a second. So we're going to start seeing those games that they've been developing, and hopefully there's a greater focus on the single player story and their inclusion in Game Pass. Like, I think it's going to be super important. So yeah, the next one we're going to talk about before we wrap things up here And I know there's one more we got to talk about that is not Xbox exclusive, but this one is Ninja Theory. So they're doing a sequel to the Hellblade series. And this one is supposed to be coming out, I believe, this year. So this might be a launch title with the Xbox Series X. So this is kind of your game, Zach. You were the one that told me about it, so I'd love to hear your thoughts on this second one.
I was actually very surprised when it was announced. I didn't know there was going to be a second one. I feel like the first one wrapped up beautifully, and I feel like I'm intrigued to see where they go from here. When I saw the trailer, I honestly just kind of like fell silent and got back into the whole like swing of things again. There's definitely more actual characters to encounter as opposed to just the few you saw in the first story, and definitely a lot of just crazy ass visuals. Yeah. I mean, it's a stunning game. It's. I remember when you told me about it and you showed me the trailer. I'm like, there's no way this is real. Like. Or I should say, there's no way that this is like a video game and not just them filming this girl. Like, there's just no way. Well, I'm pretty sure it's all motion capture.
Yeah, it's just so shocking to me that this could be, this was digitally done and not like just filmed live action. It's just so realistic looking.
Yeah. So I'm actually very curious to see what they do with the story, and especially because of how the story ended. And how this scene is going right now too. Yeah, because the first one was Senua's Sacrifice. This one's her Saga. So I don't know what this is supposed to be, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't either. We don't know a ton. But that is supposed to be an exclusive. Oh, that was not. Yeah, so it was I think that's another important one. I mean, that's like one of the first announcements from one of the studios they bought. There's rumors that they might be buying WB Interactive. So that might be announced in the next couple of weeks. And, maybe we get an announcement of an exclusive Arkham game, which I think would be super cool. So yeah, I don't know. Any other thoughts on the Senua?
I'm just excited to see what it's going to be, honestly.
Yeah, me too. I hope they keep some of the, the death mechanics and stuff like that. I don't imagine they would change too much. I'm sure they would just add on to what that game has to offer. So the last thing we'll talk about is the Watch Dogs series. They just announced Legion, which is going to be coming out here shortly. They've allowed some people to play the game. It's a work in progress, obviously, right now, but I think this is a 2020 release on all major consoles. So, have you played this series at all, Zach?
I played the second Watch Dogs.
Okay.
The first one, oh, absolutely. Yes, and also no. So I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed playing it. I'm not super big on the whole. I don't know how to really put it. Like poetic hipster vibe. And I don't know, like, it's a great game. I just feel like a lot of it was, I don't know, I can't even put my finger on it. It's just not my particular style of characters that I would really connect with, I guess.
Yeah.
And this one seems like a lot more fun. First of all, you have so many characters to choose from. This one looks nuts in the way they're planning on doing it. And I believe permadeath is active as well. And there's certain characters. Yeah, there's certain characters you can get, but if they die, they are gone. So yeah, I'm really excited to see how this plays out and what the main story is. If there's going to be any Easter eggs from the previous games, because we did have an Easter egg from Watch Dogs 1 where the original guy showed up in like a DLC or something like that.
Oh, okay.
It was just for a moment, and you saw him and you rescued him from somebody, and then he like took off. But yeah, I think 2 was a huge improvement on 1, and I think this one will be a huge improvement on 2. So I'm excited for this. Just through this gameplay that I saw earlier, definitely, I love these kind of games because they give you the openness to decide how you're going to proceed. I believe the Hitman series got really good with this also because they started off being super strict about stealth, which I don't care for. If I want to be stealthy, I will. But if I get caught, don't fail me for the whole damn level.
Yeah.
Like, that's not fun.
Yeah, you need a level of punishment, but you don't want to make it feel like that your only option is stealth.
Yeah. And the voice acting in this, from what I've seen so far, is great. It seems like it's a super fun game, and I can't wait to check it out.
Yeah, I think it'll be... So I played the first one because there was so much buzz around the first one. I remember the E3 trailer they were talking about. You can hack anything, and like there's such a rich world here. And then I remember playing it and feeling... not necessarily
little No Man's Sky.
Kind of, yeah. Like it just wasn't all there, and like the main character is such a potato. He's so boring. Like does not have any layers to him.
The villain was just a whiny little bitch.
Yeah, see, I didn't even get that far. I think I played it for like maybe 2 hours, and I kind of had my fill. So that kind of turned me off when 2 came out. It looked much better, but I was just like, yeah, Ubisoft, you've fooled me once. I'm not going to let it happen again. So
Raymond Kenny was the best thing of both series.
Who was that?
Raymond Kenny was the best part of both series.
Is that the bad guy? Or no, you said the bad guy sucked.
No, he was like the renegade hacker who like he started off. He basically helped build CTOS.
Oh, okay.
And then like figured out what they're really up to, wasn't they down with it, and became like a nomad angry uncle type. Had long dreads and, you know, just a very rough attitude, drinks a lot, but, you know, down for his shit. If you know, he's decided you're worth it, he's going to fight with you. If not, well, he has a bunch of mechanized things he can hack to keep up with property. So
cool. Yeah. This series, this one looks more fun. I'm not sure about the gunplay. I've become much more of a stickler about how the shooting feels. But, you know, I'm spoiled with, you know, Halo. I mean, probably has some of the best gunplay.
That's why people hate whenever they invite me to play Fortnite, because I don't build. I just play it like it's Halo.
Oh man, yeah,
bumper jumper all day.
I didn't know you were a bumper jumper. Okay, yes, I did that for a while.
Bumper jumper and double grenade taps.
Oh snap! All right. So yeah, I think that's all we got this week. So thanks for joining us. Make sure you let us know what games we didn't talk about that we need to talk about, because there are plenty. And then make sure you join us next week. That will be July 23rd. We're going to talk about the film The Lobster.
Rock Lobster.
Any closing thoughts, Zach?
Closing thoughts. You know, I'm almost afraid to do the outro because I'm pretty sure that damn thing's going to go off and get pissed me off.
Oh, yeah. We can just do okay, here we go. Which console is going to win this generation?
You know what? It comes down to price.
Yeah,
just like last time.
Yeah,
I think that's what it's going to come down to. It's going to come down to price and what are people willing to pay. But like you said, the option to not have the disc drive is going to be the real kicker. Like the people who opt in, who like you would want to use it for like Blu-ray discs and stuff like that, or like music or some crap. I don't know.
Yeah,
that depends. Like, how much more can you do with this basically CPU than you would without it? You know?
Yeah, I can't imagine they're gonna do, like, other than hard drive space. I don't see this discless console having much more else. Like I don't see the discless one having a better CPU on it or a better fan, because I think unless you have a separate SKU for it, I think that'll alienate a large part of the audience. So
do you have, I don't even have a disc in my house. Do you have any discs anywhere?
Yeah, we collect for like shows that we like. We get like the box sets. Like I've got the box set for Breaking Bad, and I'll pull them out occasionally. But like, and I've got like the extended edition Lord of the Rings on Blu-ray, and we watch those annually.
How many box sets do you have?
three or four probably.
And like how many months do you go into rotation for that?
Oh, it's like
just kidding. You'll find out next time on This Podcast Is for Nerds. I had to debate Calvin into many conversations about discs. Do you know what those are? You probably don't because you're born past 2008.